Hey, good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. Thanks, everybody, for coming. My name is Brian Minalga, also known as Molly Moon. I'm the Deputy Director of HANC, the Office of HIV/AIDS Network Coordination. My pronouns are they, she, and he in that order of preference, and I'll be your moderator and host today. I want to start our day today with gratitude. Thank you to Rona Siskind and Sarah Alger for organizing this webinar with me. Thanks to our IT team and event coordinator. Thank you so much to our two fantastic speakers, Imani Hayes and Carter Brown, who we're going to hear from a little bit later. And thanks to all of you for coming. Today is the 25th Trans Day of Remembrance. And to take us all the way back to the first one, the first Trans Day of Remembrance was actually a vigil organized by Gwendolyn Ann Smith in 1999 for Rita Hester, who had been murdered the year before. So there is a lot more that you can read about the statistics of trans violence that have occurred this year in 2024, about the history of this day. I won't go into all the statistics, but they are out there. And if anybody would like a recommendation on a documentary that covers a lot of our history as trans and gender diverse people and anti-trans violence in our community, there's a fantastic documentary called The Stroll. It came out last year, 2023, on HBO. I think it's still available there. It's not all depressing. There's some really beautiful, joyful moments of resilience as well. So I highly recommend this stroll. We're going to be taking the next hour to be in community with one another and center trans and gender diverse people in observation of the Trans Day of Remembrance. But this is also an opportunity to remind each other that trans and gender diverse people need support beyond this 1 hour, beyond this one day, beyond Trans Awareness Week, of which we're in right now. So we also take this opportunity to reflect on what it means to support trans and gender diverse people in the face of injustice, in the face of anti-trans violence. Or more simply put, we take this opportunity to reflect on what friendship means, on what sisterhood means, what brotherhood means, what being a neighbor means, what being an ally means, and how we can support each other within community for those of us who are trans or gender diverse, and how allies can engage in meaningful and actionable ways. I must acknowledge that there is a great deal of fear, anxiety, uncertainty ahead. I'm looking ahead to next year. Trans and gender diverse people have not only suffered great losses to anti-trans violence this year, but we've also been targeted and scapegoated on the political stage and attacked in very public ways for the world to see. So we as trans and gender diverse people are here wondering how the world will respond to these attacks in our community. Will they be tolerated? Who will stand up for us? What can we do to protect ourselves and our families? I have people in my life who are stockpiling hormones. There are people who are scheduling surgeries sooner than they might otherwise be ready for fear that the option may not be there if they wait. There are also doctors who provide gender-affirming care who are being threatened. Their families are threatened. I know some doctors here in Seattle who are experiencing that. So we also take this opportunity to remember that we're all connected. Trans justice or justice for trans people is justice for cis people. We all need support. Everybody needs the strength that is derived from community. So even if a place to start is just by checking in on the trans people in our lives to see if we need a coffee or to talk or a distraction, small gestures can have large impacts. So times are tough, but let's take this next hour to be in community with each other and support each other, and to take that energy moving forward as well. So our agenda today, we have two fantastic speakers, Imani Hayes and Carter Brown. You should have received their bios, so in the interest of time, I will let them introduce themselves again to you before they give their presentations. And just to set the stage for Imani and Carter, our webinar today is organized by the Trans and Gender Diverse Working Group, which is part of the Division of AIDS funded by the NIH. And our day-to-day focus in the working group is HIV. But we wanted to take a different approach and really focus today on what might be called the social and structural drivers of health for trans and gender diverse communities. And we won't merely be referencing these drivers, we're actually going to take a step back from HIV and really focus on these social and structural drivers themselves. Because Trans Day of Remembrance is really a reminder that in our reality, of our lived experience as trans and gender diverse people, HIV is typically not our number one priority. We're contending with things like violence, with finding work. We're grappling with everyday things that all of us deal with, like paying for groceries and looking and feeling our best. So today we're actually going to be centering the things that really matter in our lived experience as trans and gender diverse people. And after our presenters make their remarks, we'll have some time for discussion where we can make those connections to HIV and anything else that may come to mind throughout our day today. And for those of you who are deeply ensconced in research, we do have research as part of our presentations today, so never fear, you will get your research fix during our presentations. So just a little bit of housekeeping. If you want to edit your name, you can click the three dots, update that. I think, at this point, we're all pretty familiar with how Zoom works. So yeah, I won't belabor, oops, looks like that advanced. I won't belabor the point, but just on the bottom here, there's an email address. If you have any technical difficulties during the webinar, you can contact Zach, who will support you. There's Zach's email address there. And yeah, so for discussion, you can use the chat box throughout the presentation. We're going to hold the discussion until the end, but if presentations come to you, it looks like this is set on auto, so I'll have to manage that. But if questions come to you throughout the presentation, just go ahead and drop those in the chat, and we will get to them. So without further ado, I would like to hand the stage over to Imani Hayes. So Imani, go ahead and introduce yourself, and we look forward to your remarks.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. My name is Imani Hayes. I'm the program manager for Project T, which stands for Trans Empowerment in Action. We're a program at NJCRI in Newark, New Jersey, a community-based organization, and we're a program that's funded by the CDC. Our main focus is HIV testing and STI screening. However, due to the needs of the community, we've become more than just that. Unfortunately, because of funding, we don't have the funds to do a lot of things. However, we make it happen regardless. We do things from assisting people with legal name changes to hosting community events, everything, and linking people to HRT and gender affirming surgeries. Um, what's unique about today, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our program. What's unique about our program is that from for me and everyone who works below me, works for me, is either trans or non-binary. I believe we're like the first of its kind. Next slide. So right here is our mission statement. It tells you that we strive to experience society where every trans, non-binary, gender diverse person has equal access to healthcare, housing, economic growth, education, and safety. Our mission statement: we work to save the lives of transgender, non-binary, and gender diverse folks by minimizing the disparities and social determinants of health. Our efforts include name change assistance, professional development, community closet, community events, HIV counseling and testing, case management, group interventions, and gender affirming care. This is basically a timeline of major things that have happened in our program since we started back in May 16th of 2022. You can actually skip this one. Okay, so this is our team. I'm the program manager. You see, I have a linkage navigator. That's the one who links everyone to any type of services that they may inquire about or may need. Um, our community health worker, Freya Diosa Cox, she's mostly in charge of programming, social media, all of our support groups and everything like that. And Levi Hines is our HIV counselor and tester. He's in charge of, just that HIV counseling and testing, as well as, condom distribution and all of that. So we're very small. We're just a 4-person team. And once again, we're all trans and non-binary. This our close support groups and activities. Bloom is our trans femme support group. They meet one Thursday a month, and they come together to talk about issues, any pressing issues they may have. They have specific topics they may talk about. I mean, it varies. The same is said for Brother T Love, which is our trans mass group, which we have once a month as well. And they meet and they get together, they fellowship, they eat, they, talk about what's going on within their trans mass population. NB is the support group we have just for non-binary individuals who want to share the space to come together to talk about certain topics and things like that. Beauty bar, we have that once a week as well. That's like where they come to get their makeup done. Like for if they're going somewhere for an interview or they may be going out to an event or something. My community health worker Freya, she does makeup and she's versed in cosmetology. She helps them, get together and stuff like that. And Tea Talk. Tea Talk is something that's actually in the works of being developed because we just got the equipment. Where we're going to be talking about transgender topics. It's a podcast, and we will be airing it and doing it once a week. All right, so this is Brother T Love. These are pictures from Brother T Love. It was co-founded by, our tester, Levi, who's a trans mask, and Elijah Cuffey, who, fun fact, is actually my husband. So they started Brother T Love, and it's been going on since, I believe, 2023. And once again, it's a trans mass group where they come together, they fellowship, they talk about, they have special events where they may have luncheons where it's just them and the guys, and they may go bowling or, go to special events just with them included. Next. NB, this group is, like I said, for our non-binary community. Um, this is ran and was facilitated by my linkage navigator, Simi, who is non-binary. Um, they come together once a week also. Um, they do a lot of artsy and they do a lot of fun artsy like things like poetry and making I want to say pottery and things like that, things that are real creative. They're real creative people. So next slide. Balloon is our trans feminine group. They 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 turn up in droves. We have more, it seems we have more um trans feminine clients than all, but they come in droves and they come and they get together. They talk about what's the tea, what's going on, they eat, uh they dance. I believe Freya is actually incorporating a step team with them. So they're very creative as well. Next slide. This is the beauty bar. This is actually Freya doing some of the beauty bar techniques. I believe it's a video that plays. I don't think is it will it play? I don't hear the sound, but but yeah, so this is just, she was just introducing one of our clients that she was working on and doing the makeup for. So
Let me
that's
see if I
beautiful.
unmute. Maybe it'll play if I unmute. Let me know if you can hear this.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
I can hear it.
Welcome by Project T. I'm Fred Diosa, and I'm your makeup artist. So we're going to be doing a soft glam for glam.
We love a soft glam.
Next slide. Okay, so this was the inception of when we before we actually started Tea Talk. We did it with the LGBTQ Center um um of Newark, and we started off like this, and we would do the podcast there, and we just basically talked about stuff that was going on in the community. It was not just as far as just trans related issues. We were talking about all LGBTQ issues and politics and things like that. Next slide. All right, so this is some of the services, and these are events that we open to all. Um, so we have Chrysalis that we do during Trans Day of Visibility. It's actually a ball, like a ball, and we have it every year. We've done it like for the last 2 years, and it has had a real huge turnout. We have Metamorphosis, which we actually have our first one today, which in honor of Trans Day of Remembrance. We're gonna have it at the NJ Pack in downtown Newark. It's gonna be a big thing. Once I finish with this, I have to actually go head down there and get the food and stuff for it. So we have that today. Um, we also have for we celebrate International Non-Binary Peoples Day. We have that. We've done that twice as well. So we have something for everybody that falls under the gender spectrum. And then we have translation, which is a once a month we highlight one person in the trans community that's either an activist or an entrepreneur or somebody that's doing something positive within the trans community. Not and it's not just limited to the state of New Jersey. We've had people from New York and other places come in and do it. We even had Tracy Norman, also known as Tracy Africa. She was the first transgender model that was on the box of Clairol back in the 70s. She actually has done it with us. And it's a real great event. They come out and they tell their story of transition, and we have food and everything. We kind of call it like trans unplugged. um, the prevention services we offer are like rapid HIV testing. We have the Real Tea Kit. The Real Tea Kit, if you see the picture in the on the top, is basically inside of there. It's packed with like condoms, fentanyl strips. Um, what else is in there? Candy, like all types of things. The instructions on how to use the fentanyl strips. Um, Anything that you may need, also it comes with a what you call it, I can't even think of the name of it. I'm sorry, y'all.
I see a picture of Narcan on there.
Yeah, it has Narcan, and it also has the sharps container that
Oh,
you could throw away, that when you use your needles, you throw it away. Because we also at our location, we have a needle exchange program. So if you use needles or hormones or whatever, you can just bring your needles back and we give you fresh needles, fresh syringes. We also have name change assistance. gender affirming care, which we call it Pink Wednesdays. If you look at the top pictures, we have pink t-shirts on the clinic. That day, everybody wears pink on Wednesdays. Of course, our linkage to care to all types of services. And then we have TWIST, Transgender Women Informed in Strategies of Transformation, which is a CDC group level intervention that is required in our program. Next slide. So these are all of the translations that we have had. So these are some of the guest speakers we have had since its inception. So you can see some of the people. All right, next slide. All right, so this is just a picture. This is Chrysalis. This is the ball we have for Trans Day of Visibility. So these are some of the, some of the action photos from the ball that we had. So you can see it's well attended, and they come out. They really love this event. So they come out to Chrysalis every year. They really come out to support. And we do the HIV testing and everything there. Next slide. Okay, so these are the pictures from the International Binary Peoples Day for some of the events, from the 2 events that we've had. We had like panel discussions and things like that. There, people, even if you look to the left, they gave us like they donated like $1,000 to us one year, just because they liked us. So that was really, really nice. That was the Pride Center of New Jersey in Highland Park, New Jersey. Next slide. All righty, and this is TWIST. This is the group level intervention I was telling you about through the CDC. We had to it used to be for women who were HIV, but now is is status neutral, and we do it once a year. We had to go to Atlanta to get trained in order to do it. Because it went away for a while, but they had brought it back, so we had to go down there to get trained to do it. And like I said, it's just for transgender women only, and only transgender women only are able to give to facilitate the GLI. Next one. And these are pictures from when we some of the people that came and graduated from TWIST. They are there with their certificates, and they graduated. They're now TWIST girls. Next slide. All right, and so this is our contact information. So at the bottom is a QR code, so you can get to our Instagram. You can see whatever events we may have and anything that we may have coming up. Also, there's our phone number if you want to get in contact with us. Okay, and that will end our presentation.
Thanks so much, Imani. Yeah, we're going to go to Carter next, but before we do, I just wanted to say that your presentation just made me really happy. It's like so warm, everything that you do through Project T, and it just reminds me of our capacity for joy as a community.
Oh.
Vast. So I just really appreciate you I feel like uplifted after just listening to you. So really appreciate everything you're doing. And
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah,
We need joy at this, what's going on now.
we really do. And I love how everything is integrated. You talked a little bit about the prevention services and things you have in there, but really at the center of everything you do is uplifting the community and giving support in a variety of ways. So I really appreciate how you presented that to us, that integration of services.
Thank you.
All right, so with that, I'm going to advance, and Carter, we look forward to hearing from you.
All right. Hello, everybody. I definitely share your sentiments there, Brian. That was a great presentation, Imani. I love seeing the work that y'all are doing and changing lives and giving people fun stuff to do in the meantime. It looks really, really awesome. Keep up the great work. I am Carter Brown. I am a co-founder and the executive director of the National Black Trans Advocacy Coalition. We were founded in 2011 as the first national Black trans-led organization or nonprofit, and we center Black trans people and non-binary people. I myself identify as a transgender man, so it was just through my own experiences of discrimination and other disparities that really compelled me to found the organization. And so we're rooted in just really wanting to build community and create empowerment for Black trans people, as well as social advocacy in the areas of employment, health, and housing. So my portion of the presentation today is I want to talk about a really, really exciting program that I've partnered with Duke University on, and that I think is really making an impact, especially and it's really important today specifically to talk about when we think of Transgender Day of Remembrance. It's bitter, this time of the year is always really bittersweet for me. Obviously, it's saddening to have to acknowledge the plight of many of trans and non-binary people to, that their demise is due to violence, anti-trans violence, as well as just systemic neglect and discrimination. But the good part of this is that it creates conversation um, about how we can do more to have safety for our communities. And then also, as Brian highlighted, it just also creates conversation about how we can reconnect as humanity and a consciousness of our own humanity and reaching out to one another from the spirit of humanity. So, but I want to talk more about the safety aspect of trans people because when we emphasize safety, often I think that we think about physical protection. We say protect trans kids and protect Black trans women, etc. Um, but I think it's important to highlight that safety expands beyond physical protection, that it's largely emotional and financial security. That's safety, especially for trans communities, and considering many of us are victims to violence or more prone to the disparities of homelessness or unemployment or underemployment. A lot of us are exposed to these structural disparities because of the lack of emotional or financial security. And so, again, I'm just really excited to share about the CARES program and the work that's being done through the CARES program because we really are trying to create meaningful change in the lives of trans and non-binary people. So let's get into it. CARES is an acronym that means creating access and resources to economic stability. Next slide. We have an incredible team. The team includes researchers from Duke University, Michigan, the University of North Carolina, as well as Johns Hopkins. You'll see here from at the top left, the lead investigator on this is Dr. Tonya Poteet, who's with Duke University. Next to me there is Dr. Sari Reisner, who's with the University of Michigan. Dr. Larissa Jennings Mayo Wilson is with UNC. Andrea's with JHU. And then Nancy, Harley, Jenny, and Ash. No, I believe Nancy's with John Hopkins as well. I'm sorry. And then the rest of the team is with Duke University. Harley, Jenny, Ash, Wiley, and Dominic. And so this team, we've built a really powerful team because it combines research with lived experiences and also advocacy. And so through this CARES program and all of our experiences and skill sets, we're really hoping that we can improve the outcomes of the trans community through the CARES program. Next slide. Okay, so how did the CARES study come about? During the pandemic back in 2020, um, it, in my service to the Black trans and non-binary community, when the pandemic hit, we saw that it was hitting our communities especially hard. We witnessed that there were higher rates of psychological distress, um, poverty and job loss, all of the statistics that you see here on the screen. And so what we did was um, we just took it upon ourselves to meet the needs of the requests that we were receiving. These were non-traditional requests from our constituents that we were used to receiving, because all of a sudden we're now receiving, an influx of people who are saying, I don't have any food, or saying, I don't have a job, so I can't pay my bill, or I don't have money, so I can't get my medication, and things like that. And so we really just wanted to see what we could do as a community-based organization to meet the needs of those people. And just through some of the, again, I just want to highlight some of the key disparities that took place for the trans community during the pandemic. Um, 41% of trans and non-binary people experience psychological distress or suicidal ideation, and our poverty levels were 46% compared to 11% of just cis adults, from trans adults. And I know that the pandemic was globally affecting everyone, but as you can see, just with those numbers, trans people were more than twice the times, almost four times the amount of experiencing poverty at four times the rate of our cis counterparts. And then also we were losing jobs twice as much as our cis counterparts as well. And so, as I stated, our organization, as well as many other trans leaders, responded by, building peer mentoring programs as well as financial support, and just really wanted to step in. Some of the things that we did in addition to the peer mentoring, we mailed out food boxes, we prepared COVID safety kits, mailed those out, everything, and those included everything from, mask and hand sanitizer to sexual health products or hygiene products. These are the bare necessities that people were needing at the time. Um, and so, this work really inspired the partnership between BTAC and Duke University. Uh, we just wanted to create a model of community and academic collaboration. And with this, we wanted to explore how financial support and community connection can improve the mental health for trans and non-binary people. And more specifically in the South, we did notice that people in the South were more affected by the pandemic as well. And so what you see there at the bottom of this slide is, in the middle is our Akani mentoring program. Of course, the font may be a little small for you to read, but it's just some information regarding the mentoring program that we had in existence. And then also the flyer there to your right is the COVID response grant, this is the promotional uh, image there of our COVID response grant, in which we were able to give mutual aid of $125 micro grant to individuals who expressed the financial need. Next slide. Okay, and so for the care study aims, um, something's missing for some reason. There's a part of there it is. Okay, so we have three main goals for the CARE study. We want to first test how micro grants with or without mentoring can reduce psychological distress. Secondly, we want to understand how these interventions can create positive change. And then thirdly, learning from participants on how to improve any future programs, are the main three study aims of the CARES program. And you'll see here a diagram of the theoretical model of how COVID-19 um, affected material hardship and what we want to accomplish. So with the COVID-19 creating the material hardship and providing a monthly grant versus providing the monthly grant coupled with peer mentoring. And then we'll see that the impact should be the trans community connection, as well as how that impacts psychological distress. Next slide. Okay, so the structural intervention, there's two interventions as I named. There were two components or interventions for this. There's the financial, and then there's also the peer mentoring. The structural intervention of financial empowerment, we recognize that financial education is key, or a key part of this study. So all participants received 6 months of free financial education videos, and just recognizing that financial education really is the foundation of success. And so we wanted to make sure that everyone, all participants in the study, were able to have the opportunity to uh, take advantage of the free financial education videos for up to 6 months. Secondly, I think you would hit enter or something. There we go. Okay, and the with this program, there are three groups or arms. We call them arms. So there's arm A, arm B, and arm C. And with our comparative analysis, in addition to everyone receiving the 6 months of financial education videos, one group would additionally receive one micro grant of $150. The second group would receive 6 months micro grants. So that would be six payments of $150. And then our last group, which is the group that BTAC works with, is the monthly micro grants of $150 for 6 months, coupled with peer mentoring. And so overall, our sample size is 360 people, 120 people for each arm. And so with this comparative analysis, what we're hoping to do is, by addressing financial challenges, we hope that the study empowers participants and also helps them build long-term resilience. And then for those who also receive the benefit of peer mentoring, we hope that it gives them a guide on goal setting and how to maintain accountability for yourself as well. And this matters. Why? Oh, one more thing. That matters because the financial instability is a major barrier, specifically for um, BIPOC trans people or Black, Indigenous, and people of color that are trans or non-binary. And so having that financial benefit, we've seen that it's given them the ability to attain safe housing or the healthcare that they need, or even protection from exploitation or abuse in their daily lives. Next slide. All right. The second part of the second intervention is the interpersonal intervention, which includes the peer mentoring. What you see here on your screen to the left, that is a diagram of the 8 dimensions of wellness, which is what Akani mentoring or BTAC's mentoring program was founded on, the 8 dimensions of wellness, and really setting participants or mentees goals in areas that they want to improve in their lives. So that coupled with Healthy Divas is also a mentoring program out of California for our trans women, and they also had a really phenomenal mentoring program which incorporated gender affirmation exercises, as well as a more frequent contact between the mentor and mentee. So we incorporated some of those components as well as with BTAC's mentoring program in order to make the CARES mentoring program. And so with our CARES mentoring program, all of our mentors are working from a structured manual so that there's consistency and transparency across the board. And within those sessions, we carefully discussed, thought about, talked about, looked at responses from community members of what they actually want to be mentored on. And so we were able to establish 6 different sessions with various topics that the mentors would discuss with mentees in an organized way. For example, the topics, they start with goal setting in that first session. We're really just talking about setting goals, helping them to setting personal attainable goals and helping them to reach those goals, giving accountability, giving encouragement along the way. Some other topics we discuss are building resilience, assertive communication, problem solving, um, knowing your health and support systems, and various things. And then lastly, we end with envisioning your future, so that they will have something to go on and continue to build from the skills that they've learned in their mentoring relationship. Twofold, we also have very carefully and thoughtfully brought ways to support the mentors as well. Again, this is peer-to-peer mentoring, and so often we know that the mentors are possibly experiencing some of the similar hardships that their mentees are as well, while maintaining their professionalism in their role. So to support our mentors, we provide, supervision. Everybody works virtually, but the supervisor is available all day, as well as team resources such as free professional therapy through BetterHelp. Our mentors are provided, and then Duke University also has a person on staff who's readily available to support mentors in any way if needed as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so in addition to the financial empowerment and the peer mentoring, we also provide CARES participants with a resource guide. With this resource guide, it connects them to local, state, or national resources that they may need. Initially, we will have the mentor try to identify what resources that the mentee may need. But then we also provide a guide, a digital guide that they can access from the website, as well as the mentor can share it with them as well. Next slide. Okay, so this is this diagram here more so lays out the 3 phases of our study. The first was the recruitment and screening. With our recruitment process, we opted to work with cohorts, community partners, and also use online methods in order to reach potential participants. And once they were screened and signed consent and found eligible for the study, then they were enrolled. All enrollees are done so on a randomized basis, meaning that once they sign up, they can't choose which arm that they go to. It's randomized. If they're going to go into arm A, B, or C, and again, the arms will designate if they're going to get the one-time micro grant, or if they're going to get the 6 months of micro grants, or if they're going to get the 6 months plus the peer mentoring. All participants also complete a survey, 3 surveys throughout their year within the program. They'll do one at the beginning, one at 6 months, and then one at the end. And then in the interim, at the 3rd and 9th month, they also do a qualitative interview. And with these surveys and interviews, the key measures that we're looking at are there to your right: mental and behavioral health, as well as their economic hardships, and then what kind of social support are they receiving or that they need, are also key things that we want to measure from this research. Next slide. Okay, so we launched the study finally January 8th of 2024 was a couple of years of getting our approval and getting everything up and running. So we were super excited to start this at the beginning of this year. So far, we've learned a lot, and we've had a lot of great success as well. But when we rolled out in January, we had our strategy was to reach specific, or in order to reach the specific population that we wanted to reach, we had three different outreach materials. One is specifically for Latinx, the other is for Black trans and non-binary people, and then lastly for American Indian. And we have been pretty successful in getting responses or a diversity of responses from our trans and non-binary community at large to include um, BIPOC. I would say right now we're probably at about um, at least half or a little over half of our study participants are BIPOC. Next slide. Okay, so our those were our recruitment materials, and the strategy was again to work with community-based organizations. That just always seems to go better when you want to build the trust or gain trust from a community of individuals who are so used to being um, utilized for financial gain that does not benefit them. And so really working with community-based organizations, as you can see just from the wonderful presentation from Imani and looking at the pictures of the people that are engaged in community, you can see that they found home there with that organization. And so it would be more effective for us to go with someone like Imani's organization and say, hey, if you trust us, can you let the people know that we have their best interests at heart? And this is what we want to offer. And so we were really able to grow a great rapport with a lot of community-based organizations with our recruitment strategy. And that was very beneficial both to us as well as the organizations. It benefited the organizations by providing financial opportunity for their constituents. Also, the organization it would be listed on the RISE Lab website, giving them more visibility and showing that they are working around research as well. Also, acknowledgement during dissemination of the of the outcomes of the study findings. They will be included in that as well. Next slide. Okay, so this is also one of our recruitment strategies. We sent email. We have a monthly newsletter that we send via email. And as you can see from this one, it's very reader friendly. It's simplistic in just stating why we're doing the study, who's in the study, and how they could sign up, either to be a participant as well as to be, if they wanted to be a community-based organization and help with recruitment, they could contact us at the same information here. And so I would start my closing with sharing that if you or anyone you know would like to participate in the CARE study, please utilize the link here on this slide, as well as if you are a community-based organization or even just an advocate and feel that there are other people who could benefit from this very unique program and impactful study, please reach out or have them go to the site here. And that is the end of the CARES presentation, but I also wanted to just in my wrap up, I want to emphasize that these interventions do more than just address individual challenges. That we're really tackling systemic barriers when we're talking about bringing safety through financial empowerment and through community connections and really addressing mental health and building support systems for trans people Often these aren't the things that are funded through large grants, but with our work and our service through the CARES program, we're really positively hoping that, the information that we're able to gain from this study will justify why it's so important to have organizations like the T Fund that is providing joy, that is, helping it in any other way of financial needs, and organizations like BTAC and so many others that are doing work um, on the backs of just other community members or even from allies who are making $5 donations, $100 donations, that's adding up to really pour into the community to meet the needs versus not being able to qualify for this huge government grant because the HIV work isn't, the priority for the people that are coming into our offices. So again, I'm really glad to be a part of this study. I'm so happy to have been able to share the information with you all so that you can also be a little more enlightened about so, not just the disparities of trans people, but alternative ways that when we think about the disparities and how we can really address them, specifically in academic spaces and research spaces, as well as advocates. So again, thank you for your time and hearing our presentation about the CARES program. My name is Carter Brown.
Yes, applause for Carter and Imani. That was fantastic, Carter. Really robust program that you have, so well thought through. And so yeah, I feel really reassured just knowing that there are folks really thinking through, community and what the needs are out there and putting together interventions to actually address it. So thanks so much to both of you. I'm so happy that our journeys have intersected. I remember the first time I talked to Imani, one of the things we talked about was actually grants and micro grants. And so, just making these connections between the two of you and what you're doing through CARES and BTAC, it's just a great coming together of the minds. So really appreciate that. We do have a few minutes for discussion. So I want to go and look in the chat and see if we've got some questions. And it looks like we do. So let's just start through. Well, first of all, Murph says, love the translation logo, great marketing. Murph is our guru here for marketing, so that's a big compliment from her. It looks like Deb says $150 seems like a small amount of money, even monthly. How do you determine this amount, and do you think it's enough to make a measurable difference?
Well, that amount was determined based on sort of generating the sample that BTAC was already doing. And what we were doing was actually $125. And that amount, we established that amount from just honestly because of the budget that we had. And then, in general, people were asking for money for bills or medicine or food. And so being able to meet those immediate needs at that time, uh, which would have just been a one-off. We were only offering a one-time micro grant, and that amount was seemingly covered general expenses that were being asked for at that time. And so when Duke University decided to adopt that into the CARES mentoring program, um, we did make it a little higher at the 150. And it is a small amount, you know, for some of us, but for a lot of us, that is like life saving. And so that too is a determinant that we'll be able to find out from the research at the end of the results to see, was that amount actually feasible for, is that actually going to put us on a path to better financial stability, or was that just, a wash? Is what we're hoping to determine as well.
Thanks, Carter. And it looks like one of your team members, Dominique, also put something in the chat just for further information. Dominique says CARES is currently the only study enrolling people that live in the South. We define the South the same way that the census defines it, so it includes Delaware. And Dominic included a link there to show the South. Yeah, I really appreciate that emphasis on the South. It's really important based on what you've shown to us, Carter. And I got a private message too from someone who had to leave, but just says, I had to go to another meeting, but huge thanks to you and the presenters for organizing such a meaningful gathering. They're doing tremendous work, and it was really uplifting to hear about it. So again, thanks to both of you. In the 3 minutes we have left, if folks have further questions, go ahead and put them in. But while you're thinking about it, I had a question too. I said we might have time to make some connections to HIV, which is the work that we do through the working group that organized this webinar. And if you think about, the types of things that we've heard from both of you, Imani and Carter, you've talked about things like safety. You've talked about things like financial literacy, financial education. You've talked about things like makeup and beauty. If we think about these things that aren't automatically, in most people's minds connected to health and, to something like HIV, what do you think can be the impact of providing this type of support and community for folks where, like you have a program for the beauty bar and you have a program, Carter, focused on financial literacy. How do you think that can impact people's vulnerability or resilience, to or from HIV? And Imani, I'll start with you.
Well, I think these programs are important because they actually normally what happens is that with the testing that we do as far as HIV testing is concerned, a lot of people are scared to participate because they know that we do HIV testing and they feel that because they may be already HIV positive that they can't participate and they don't have it's not for them. They feel like, it's only for, people who are negative. And when they are HIV positive or whatever, they come and they feel that, we have the beauty bar and stuff like that and other programs like that. They feel included. So, you know, I, you know, I'm always been the person to say that not everyone, when they make these grants and they write these grants and stuff, as far as transgender people are concerned, they're quick to always include HIV in everything. They don't think about, the things that we may need, like housing or food insecurities and things like that. But when it comes to when it's HIV involved in any instance, it kind of like deters people from coming around or but with our program when we have these certain things like the beauty bar or bloom or whatever, there it's more inclusive, so it's status neutral, so they're more inclined to get involved and want to participate. And that's one of the things I like about especially my CBO. They allow us the freedom to be able to do these things, even though we do deal with just, with the whole purpose of our program is HIV testing. It gives us leeway to do more things. And when we deal with people who are even out of our age bracket. So we deal with people, I think that the oldest trans client that we deal with is like 70 years old. So we're inclusive of everybody. We want to include everybody. We're one big family. So
Thanks, Imani. And I know we're 1 minute over. I'm gonna ask Orbit to put in any links or email addresses that you want to share for folks who want to get involved with ACTG CAB. And while you're doing that, Orbit, Carter, any response to that question about connections to HIV?
If I'm a mute. Yeah, and I'll keep it short and sweet. I believe that financial education and micro grants overall help participants overcome obstacles like housing, employment, and food insecurities, healthcare, all those things. And then also the mentoring and the emotional support help to build the resilience. and create a foundation for long-term safety. And all of these things are factors that directly are are contingent upon how people with HIV or how people that are living with HIV can thrive, as well as people who are that may be at risk for HIV or living a riskier lifestyle. If they were able to have more financial education and stability, as well as a stronger mental health support system, may make different decisions or have different access in order to eradicate the stigma around living with HIV and or the contraction of it.
Thank
So
you both.
overall,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you.
Do you want to say anything else? Sorry.
No, I just wanted to say that overall, I think that the CARE study is a really broad effort to dismantle a lot of the inequalities and bring forward more equity in our communities.
Well, again, thank you both so much, Imani and Carter, for sharing with us today. I won't hold you any longer. I know we've got other events planned. This is just the start of Trans Day of Remembrance. So thanks so much to both of you, for everyone, the organizers, all of you for coming, engaging in the discussion. And my last word is just, we all are, we have power. We're not powerless. Sometimes it can feel like that in this world, but we've seen two very strong examples of the power that we have, and it doesn't take much to support our community. So thanks so much, and yeah, stay in touch. We'll be in touch soon, and we may consider putting this on a website. We may not, just might be kind of, in the moment, but really appreciate everybody's contributions to the webinar today. Thank you.
Thank you again for having me. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.